Check one, check two, checking three times. What up, Internet? My name is braV. I think we are good to go. I said it just now. My name is braV. Welcome to the show. This is I Can't Produce a Podcast, episode numero 27, and I am joined by my new friend Max, or also known as Kloud Forest. Thank you for joining me today, Max. I really appreciate your time. It's cool to talk to another Colorado, I'm not a native, but Colorado resident.
Oh, nice. I didn't know you were in Colorado. Where you're at?
I'm in Foco, just about an hour north of Denver, or 2 hours, depending on the day.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, I love Foco Squad. That's what's up, dude.
Yes, sir. I'm pretty new. I'm only just hit 2 years here. How long have you lived in Colorado?
Me? Oh man, getting upon a decade now.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, and I moved out here when I was 20 to, just fucking switch it up and chase the dream, dude. It feels crazy to think it's been this long. I mean, it's just been one crazy ride.
You moved out. Okay, so are you 30 now then?
About to be 30, yeah. So got a couple of months left of my 20.
But um,
I mean, last year you were able to rent a car for the first time, and now it's all just a slowly returning to the earth. So
um,
I don't know, man. I mean, turning 30, I feel like I'm supposed to be an adult, but I still just like to make weird beats and hang with my friends. So I don't know. I'm just LIVIN.
hell yeah. Well, are you sending off your 20s with anything? Anything healthy? Anything unhealthy?
Shoot, I don't have any plans right now, man. Honestly, just trying to do what I can to, secure this career thing. Just like maybe a month or two ago, I decided to like leave my actual adult job and try to just make it happen with this music thing. So I mean, obviously, I not to the point where I've totally figured it out yet, but I know it was like a lot of like internal battle of like, oh, I need to be an adult, but I like this music thing, and I don't know. I've just decided to double down after all this time, so we'll see what happens.
What was your adult job, and what's changed? Like what did you have to start doing instead of your job?
Well, I mean, I've tried a bunch of different things, man. Honestly, after like a year of doing like certain types of jobs, I just like find myself getting like really like, you know, almost like existential crisis. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm not stoked doing this. And so I've just tried a bunch of different things. But the last thing I did, I was like in a chemistry job. I was doing like environmental testing for this one company that I know it's like a pretty big company. And I just wanted to get into like environmental science. And I wasn't like in the field, it was all like lab work and shit. But I have my GED. So like I don't know the fact that I like got into the job in the first place, I was like, oh, this is like the universe giving me a chance to like figure out my shit. And yeah, like same thing, dude. After like a year there, just like really wasn't feeling it. And then like some divine timing happened where like I got this opportunity to go like play a bunch of festivals, and they like revoked my time off with this like new policy, where they're like, oh yeah, we like can't accommodate this time off anymore, like 2 days before I was supposed to leave. And so I just quit.
Well, yeah, that's decisions were gonna have to be made one way. That sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I was like thinking about it anyways, and yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. There was just like a lot of like back and forth on like, I felt like there's like what I'm supposed to be when I like look at, other people in their career trajectory around me. I mean, for like the Kloud Forest thing. So like my first track I dropped with it was maybe like close to 3 years ago. It still says 2 years on my SoundCloud, but I'm pretty sure it's closer to three. But like overall, like I like dropped out of high school to try to do music. Like it's just been like a long journey of several failures. And so I was like, oh man, like I just have to like accept like doing like what I want to do, and like if I fail, like that's part of it. Like I could either fail doing what I love or be successful at something I'm like meh about. Which not to say that I'm gonna fail. I'm like gonna believe in myself and give it my all. But like, if it is an option, and if like that's something I got to be like okay with, like giving it my all. So yeah, a bunch of that.
That's interesting, man. The stories behind the people I'm fans of always interest me. So you actually dropped out like a while ago then to what was the name of your first project?
I mean, so when I left high school, I was in a metal band. That was like my whole big thing. I was a guitarist in a metal band, and at the time, we were like supposed to get like a record deal from this like sister label of Universal, and like it turned into like a whole like big opportunity for me. Um, Long story short, like I know I grew up in South Florida, and I don't know. I'm just gonna go down this rabbit hole for a second. My mom was dating. She's like in recovery for like alcohol and drugs and shit, and she started like dating this dude who was like crazy into like that whole lifestyle. And so like for my 16th birthday, I went out drinking on the beach with my friends, and like came back super drunk and like passed out in front of the toilet. And like he like told my mom, it's like, oh, he's on drugs, send him to rehab. And so yeah, they put me in rehab, and like I just like pretty much got kicked out of the band for that. So music. So the first of many in a long road of figuring shit out as a musician. So
That's interesting. Well, at what when did you kind of start trying the whole EDM bass thing then? Because, metal, I was a super big guitar. I wasn't a metalhead, more of like a wannabe Slash type guitar player. But that was, it's just really, my dad and I were really close when it came to music, because we were all into the same shit. I was listening to like Guns N' Roses for the first time and loving it and like getting deeper than he ever did into, one of his favorite bands. And, now I know all of Pink Floyd, but, you know, at one point I just stopped listening to all of that and started listening to really weird beats, and we don't really vibe on the music wave anymore.
I hear that. No, I mean, dude, Guns N' Roses back in the day, dude, was fucking phenomenal. I mean, I still love a good GNR. But no, there was like a point where, dude, I just like needed like a big change in my life. So, um, I was still living in Florida at the time and just like really unhappy. I like was still like playing in bands and stuff, but just like, felt like I was stuck and not growing anywhere. And so, I don't know. I just like a spontaneous. This is gonna be a pattern throughout my life. You might pick up on it, but I just like get like this existential like I'm not living. I need to like try something different. And so yeah, I like quit my job, broke up with my girlfriend, got rid of my apartment, and just like hopped in my buddy's truck, and we just started like driving around the country. And from there, I like found my way to Colorado. My brother's a glass blower out here, so I like came through. I was like, oh, I'm gonna come visit you for a few days, and like before I knew it, like a week, 2 weeks, a month. Before I know it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stay out here for a while and try this. And just in like the short amount of time I was out here talking to people, I like went to Tuesdays at Cervantes and met a bunch of cool bass heads. I like got put on to music I never heard before. Went to Red Rocks, my first like 2 nights out here, for like global dance, and then what the next night was grammatic, and just heard all this like stuff that like I don't know. I've been to like ultras in Miami, so like that kind of music, like kind of mainstream like big house kind of shit, and I don't know, it's alright, but like I've always been like a dubstep dude, and when I did like music, and the scene out there just wasn't providing. So coming out here, I just like opened my world to what all the possibilities could be, and then I ended up like finding a roommate out here that was like a old school kind of like bigger name in South Florida, back when like dubstep was like first coming out, where he had like a weekly out in the town I grew up that was like putting on all these like bass acts, and like he kind of produced, like he know what's up. Like FL was his DAW, but he was mostly just like a DJ and like really involved in the scene and really just like passionate about everything. And he showed me how to DJ, and that like started. We like talked about this for a little bit earlier, but like I was like a DJ before I produced, and so got me into that, and which eventually after like years of DJing got me really interested in wanting to produce. So yeah, it wasn't until I moved to Colorado, is a long answer to the point. Colorado is what got me into really wanting to do this as an electronic version of music.
Awesome. I mean, I did move out here to Colorado to pursue the bass scene. It's I think the best in the country, next to my hometown of DC, Maryland, and all that place. That's my opinion. Don't come at me, internet.
Oh no, dude, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like bone of base capital. I mean, there's plenty of good scenes out there. There's a lot of like emerging scenes, but Denver, I mean, especially for like the lane of bass music, I feel like we're into.
It's interesting. I've never you don't expect a new feeling when everyone around you like listens to bass music, but it's slightly comforting, and it's also just it makes me wonder like what the hell I'm going to listen to next.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, I mean, I don't know, something about just like feeling like a sense of like belonging, like I have like my people. There's always been like just like a handful of things that like I connect with people on like right off the bat, and similar taste in music is probably at the top of that list. So being just to go out and being like, oh, I really had this great experience seeing this artist and this show or this festival, and everyone is like just on the same wavelength. Like I don't know, man. Beyond like the sense of like community that is built around that idea, like that's just like the biggest appeal of living out here. Denver?
Yeah. Or do you do or like for the summer have you done a lot of festivals rather than like local gigs?
I mean, I'm trying to get back out into the live scene. I mean, for a minute there, I'd like I don't know, I feel like I wasn't like on top of my releases. Like I kind of touched a bit on this earlier, but I was like on this like existential battle of like, I need to like, do this for the fun of it versus like I want to like do this for real as a career. And I wasn't really like focused on like consistently releasing and trying to like get shows and everything. So like the journey of like playing shows has been like a little more recent, if anything. I mean, back before COVID times, and I was like a DJ and promoter and shit, and that was like my whole life. But after COVID, I like, actually like it was kind of in sync with COVID, but like for years, dude, I like didn't play any shows and was just kind of like in my basement trying to figure out Ableton. And yeah, I like was like really adamant, like I don't want to be like doing this until I can like figure it out again. And besides like maybe a couple shows just to like, knock some dust off and, have a little bit of fun. I haven't really been pursuing it, like trying to get shows for real and do all this until probably this summer.
Oh, well, that's awesome. So I guess the frame or like the context for my question was really me just lurking on Instagram. And so what I had seen is I guess I hadn't really gone too far back, but I made that piece of art for you probably 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So that's when I started following you. So right, prime time, right before festival season and all that shit. Um, yeah,
Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
which I appreciate you making that video, man. That was sick.
Oh no, it was just I like to go through my likes and like to see what kind of but I have a visualizer that just listens to music and then like does like new visuals for whatever it's listening to. So I like to find music that I really like and pump it in there. Um, so that's how your stuff came up.
Oh heck yeah! Well, I mean that release that you did the song for was kind of like a start of like, all right, like this is gonna be like the first of like me, like actually like putting some effort in and trying to like figure out like a career path or at least like playing shows and consistently releasing and starting to because I have like a catalog of shit I've just been like sitting on and so like doing something with that.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. As like a fan and like as someone I do this so I hope anyone listening to this knows I've been listening to your music bro a lot before the show. I would love to see you live, man. Like I said, I asked you if you were a DJ before you were a producer because I your mixes were really great. Also I went to your reposts because I was just heavy lurking your page and all I found was like dubstep and trap, and I was like, all right, nice. Like I can see that. Like there's obviously some bass music in there, but I can see that a lot of your influences still are probably bass and trap music, but with a little bit more heavy sound design in them now.
I mean, so the repost thing, like I'm a part of like a bunch of chains that just like automatically repost other people's stuff that I don't approve through my account just so I can like try to get my tracks heard.
I've heard about those on the show. Yeah, I've definitely never been a part of one. I've been invited to a couple of those.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I've tried a bunch of different way to just try to like get my track heard from it and repost chains from like I noticed you had Deem Zoo on.
Yeah.
His is super good. It's just like a pretty much a bunch of like dope producers banding together and like everyone reposts their shit. But I also joined like a couple that are like new and starting out and I know there's definitely some stuff on there. I like go check on my account every now and then and listen to it. I'm like, oh, this I wouldn't have reposted this, but at the same time, like we're all growing as artists, and I'm not gonna like sit here on my high horse and being like, oh, I'm only reposting the best of the best. Like, down to support everyone.
Yeah. So I run things differently on my SoundCloud because one, I've never been part of a chain, and then two, um, I feel like I don't know SoundCloud I use specifically to make or to find the best music, or I abuse its algorithm is the best way to put it. So the second I find something that's like less than top tier on SoundCloud, I don't interact with it because I don't want the algorithm to think that I like it
Well, you like listen to music and like search for music on SoundCloud.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Dude, so I have like a ghost account that was like specifically made for digging that was like dialed into that. But dude, as like a producer, just like trying to get my stuff out there, man, that's an L I had to like take on the chin. It's also like a networking thing with like other artists too. That, like, I don't know, you like put out support and help people, just like you're doing with this podcast, man. I feel like it comes around.
I'd hope so. Yeah, I stopped hosting the podcast on SoundCloud and picked YouTube a while back, but um, yeah, no, I SoundCloud is really great for the bass, or it's been really great for the bass scene. Like it still drives the bass scene. Like Spotify and Apple Music don't drive like a lot of the artists that we see at festivals. So I think it's really cool that it's just still like, you know, still kicking, literally kicking, not doing much else.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all like the real bass heads, like, when they want to listen to people's music, like SoundCloud is the move. I know Spotify is coming up popular, but like just like a example with like I know I just put out this like my 2023 reel essentially. You can't really like do too well with mixes on Spotify if you have any like bootlegs and like flips with like uncleared samples. Not that I would ever do that. But yeah, like they fucking flag it immediately. So yeah, I don't know. I just like to like be in the Wild West version of the music.
This is something I want to put out there just on the internet. I've seen Zomboy is one of my favorite like dubstep artists ever, and he put out one of his Outbreak album has like a full mix on it on Spotify, and that shit came out like 5 years ago, and I haven't seen many other artists do that, but it's like I don't know if it's a technical issue. I don't have any releases on Spotify. But I guess it was an album mix and it's like 40 minutes long, and I was blown away when I saw it 5 years ago on Spotify, and I thought a lot more artists were gonna start doing that. But no, it's not popular yet.
Yeah, I mean, I know like technically you can put a mix up on Spotify or whatever, but I don't know. I think the clearing thing, the samples thing, like getting flagged is like one thing about it. But two, I don't know. I feel like something about like Spotify algorithm wise too. I heard that like albums and like melodic stuff is like really what like gets you traction on that platform. Just because I mean, I know when I think about when I listen to Spotify too, I like applying this like logic I've heard. It's more like a kind of a listening experience and not necessarily like I know track for track banger with the intros and outros and stuff. And when I like want to listen to like a heavier kind of style, the SoundCloud mixes of like I know like live mixes or things like that. I just feel like is really cohesive to like that vibe. So I don't know. This might be just like a giant rationalization for me being lazy, but it's gotten me here. So
No, I don't think it's Cope. I pay for Spotify and SoundCloud. But for me, it's more of like I understand that their algorithms are tailored, and their algorithms are different, and that's what I pay for. So on Spotify, I'm paying for my Discover Weekly because that's all I want it for, and then for SoundCloud, I'm paying for ad-free like crate digging, and that's what I know I'm getting.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to transition more into Spotify life as well. So I mean, I honestly have like so this is something I've been like battling with for a while, but I have like before I started like releasing like bass music, like when I got into producing, it was like a hybrid of like bands where it was like a jamtronic kind of thing, like maybe like psychedelic lounge with like a little bit of bass music elements in it. I made like 20 tracks on it, and definitely like a tight album out of that with like 10 tracks, but like enough to have it now. And like I know it's like a pretty like decent thing I put together, but it's just not what I've been releasing vibe wise as Kloud Forest at all. And like for a minute, I was like, oh, maybe I'll like have a different project with it. But like honestly, maintaining like socials and all that with one project is just like a lot. So I'm just thinking about like, oh, fuck it, maybe like Spotify only kind of thing. I'll like throw that up, and it's like a melodic, long form kind of thing, which they said is the best for Spotify. So I know that might be a near thing I'm working on.
Yeah, I mean, having two separate projects, I feel like it wouldn't be hard to maintain if it weren't for you having to keep up the socials. Like you do need a whole ass. That's a full time job is the social thing.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and I mean I don't know. Some people like really enjoy doing it or whatever. I mean for me, like I'm learning to like find joy in doing things here or there, but like overall, especially like the grind of part, it's more just like a necessary evil kind of thing in my mind. And not that there isn't pluses of social media, but like posting all the time. I know it's just like a pretentious ego thing I have to like get over myself and be like, dude, like nobody cares. Like just fucking post on your Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been pretty cynical about it for a long time. Um, like I just didn't, it just seems so antithetical to everything that I get out of music. So whenever I am feeling super pressured to post on my Instagram, I think, oh well, this is totally, this is why it just doesn't line up with, my peaks in music are essentially the opposite of what doom scrolling on Instagram to figure out, and then, finding out that an artist that I know has a new concert coming up and that the algorithm shoved that in my face. And I've just been having a really hard time like overcoming such a negative perspective on Instagram, and knowing that if I put, putting an algorithm, throwing your art and your promotional material into the algorithm is like, that's the strategy. That's not a strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, dude, like it's hard to not like, beat myself down with like comparison because I mean, I'm inspired by like so many sick artists and stuff, and I like the difference between like being inspired versus like getting the wind out of my sails or like I don't know if this has happened to you, but like sometimes I like see a set and I'm like, dude, like I fucking quit music. Like this is so fucking sick. Like holy
That
fuck.
happened with me at Bog Trotter at Sonic Bloom. They
Oh hell yeah.
what the fuck, dude? I immediately, yeah, I went on Instagram just to get a 30-second video of their set, dude. I just wanted it. I just wanted to hear it again.
Was that Bog Dog? I didn't know Bog Trotter did a solo set at Bloom.
Oh no, it was Bog Dog that did they did like a 4 a.m. set or some shit like
Nice.
that. And that
Dirty Wolves and Bog Trotter.
yeah, exactly. It was the duo, not Bog Trotter.
Yeah, no, dude, those dudes are sick. For me, I don't know if you caught Shimura's set, man, but like I DM'd him after that. I was like,
Oh,
bro,
were you at Sonic Bloom, my friend?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, sweet. Yeah. I definitely caught Chamorro's set, and there were so many good artists that day.
yeah. No, it was really it's an amazing example of it's him just like pushing boundaries, and I mean his sound design is just like so tight and clean. I heard he's living with Milano now, which is another one of my favorite
Oh,
artists.
I know. Yeah, I love some Milano in my life.
Yeah, no, it's like that's a fucking powerhouse, dude. I mean, because I mean, some of my favorite musicians there, like if you can inspire in each other in any way, like, bro, like, where's that collab at? Like, let's go.
I mean, we can talk about. Did you have any other favorite sets from Bloom, artists worth noting?
I mean, like, there was a bunch of good ones. I feel like there was like just like flat out the Shimura set. I just felt like was like elevated beyond like so many other like aspects of it. I mean, there was like so many like good moments at Bloom this year too. I gotta say, like another one of my favorite sets, just to, like double down on yours when Dirty Wolves did a solo set. That was super fire.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I love that halftime style. So like top sets that I feel like have like really inspired like the heck out of me and like really just like made me just want to spend like months in the studio. Maybe I've only happened a handful of times. And they're all like that like halftime kind of style. So like Shimura, Resonant Language, Tipper, like just what the heck did I just see? Like I
The
mean, there's
yeah, no, I agree with you. It's happened to me only. I can name 3 times where my jaw was on the floor, and Bog Dog for me was one of those.
I mean those guys are just crushing it right now.
For me, a formative. I mean, speaking of a formative experience was Minnesota G Jones. They did a back to back. They haven't done one since that tour. That was one where I thought I was gonna quit everything, and just, well, that's when I really thought like, oh shit, music's actually worth pursuing. Was after that set. And then after that, it was like, I think it was Rafiki and Serious George. I think they did like a back to back set, and that was like, I don't know. It made me reconsider a lot of things. It only happens every few years for me. So yeah, that makes sense.
Wow, like that's like really cool, and take like bits and pieces from it, and then there's like something that like really hits me as unexpected. And G Jones, so like the intro track you played, that was like me and my homie Chairless. G Jones is like top tier for him. He's like, bro, like, I am like more inspired from him and like, um, oh, what's that other dude? Eprom,
EPROM.
like anyone, Eprom. Yeah, and like I've seen G Jones live before. It's been like super fun. But like another, I guess everyone has these like certain sets that are just like life changing sets. And I think he said something about like maybe G Jones at like the Fillmore maybe a few years ago, and that was like one of those life changing sets for him. So I really want to catch G Jones whenever I can after hearing that.
He's Red Rocks in October, my guy.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, dude, come on through. We'll
Ooh, that
be
sounds fun.
we'll squat up.
I'm down. I'm down. I already know. So of the trees, Red Rocks. That's gonna be like my birthday show going up
Oh hell yeah! What month is your birthday in?
November.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah, the show is like a day before or day after my
Oh,
birthday.
sick.
So
That
yeah,
sounds awesome.
it's the dirty 30. So
They'll
get it out of control.
be unstoppable.
Yeah.
I'll be unstoppable. Anyways, all right. There's some questions I have here that I kind of want to get down to. The first one is I mean, classic question. Where do you get the name Cloud Forest?
Ooh, okay. So, I don't know if you get down on like the Discovery Plus Hulu rampage during COVID times, but I certainly did. I binged all like the Naked and Afraid and Alone and the fucking Man versus Wild and like I don't know what it was, dude, but like that nature survival shit just like really got me. And yeah, I mean, I was looking for a new name, and I kept seeing these like environments that were like, I like it when like music like takes me to a place, and I can like think of it as like an environment kind of aspect. And then I saw specifically there was like a Man versus Wild with Bear Grylls, and then like this environment came up in a couple other ones, but like the one that really like nailed it home was he went to a cloud forest somewhere, which is an actual like environment. It's like when there's like a rainforest up above the cloud line or whatever. And yeah, he was like finding all these like crazy insects that like looked like aliens that I've like never seen before. And then there was like another. I want to say maybe it was like a Naked and Afraid also that like had one in a cloud forest where it created like crazy like auditory hallucinations from like being in that environment where like you could hear like voices talking and like car doors closing and like I don't know, just everything about it. It seemed like really like a cool concept of like this place in nature that like exists in our world but like has all this like far out life and like really cool like playing tricks on your mind and stuff. I was like, oh, that's kind of stuff I really vibe and resonate with. But like overall too, like it has to be something that like connects with like my sound and like what I want to do when like I play a set or like take you somewhere. And overall, I think like the where it connected with me, if I'm like, oh, this is cool to like this is something I feel like I could embody is with my sound. I really try to like I want to incorporate. I know, like when I started, I made like a bunch of like dubstep bangers and shit, just because I really like that. But overall, where I like see my project going and like me as an artist like evolving too is like incorporating a bunch of like nature sounds and like new like sound design that like is like familiar but different, where it can be like alien creatures in like a forest that we know to exist in our globe, and then beyond just like the kind of like nature aspect of like incorporating it into like the alien vibe, just like taken to a place, or like you hear it and like I know it's like you're discovering a new world for the first time and you can like explore into it and like experience new stuff for the first time. And I don't know, talking about my name and my vision, it sounds pretentious as shit now that I'm hearing it come out of my mouth, but that's the hope.
I don't. Why do you think it sounds pretentious? I like it.
I don't just like talking about my vision for me as an artist. Like at the end of the day, like I like make it want to like be able to cultivate like an experience. Like for me, going and seeing music sets has been like a really impactful thing for like insight and catharsis. And I truly feel like even those like maybe top three inspirational sets I talked about earlier, it was like, I'm like discovering like a new world for the first time. So like that's a goal of mine. But whenever I talk about it, it's like, oh, my music is gonna take you to a new world. I don't know. It just sounds like I'm really full of myself. I don't know.
Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Um, I get what you mean, dude. It's I okay, first of all, I think your name is a great embodiment of your musical vision. So that's awesome. Um, like, cloud or first of all, like I guess I was had to be reminded that a cloud forest was like a real thing because, it sounds really mystical. So that's, the fact that it actually exists is pretty neat. And I mean, Cloud Forest was kind of the whole Charles the First vibe, like he always had those mystical forests, with clouds on his album art, in his album art and his album covers. Like without fail, I'm pretty sure all of them just have a bunch of clouds on them. Um,
Yeah.
so it's really it's a familiar and it's a familiar vibe, at least for the Colorado Denver area. Um, it's really about that out of body experience, and every having an out of body experience I think is the cheesy part because I think that's where it gets technically cheesy. I think there's a lot of stigma around that, and even when I think about it, and I'll tell my dad like, oh, this is a transformative experience. Well, the only reason he has to believe me is because it happened to me.
Right. It's like describing your acid trip to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
it's
even like your Shimura said at Bloom this year. Like I think that was another reason where it, like impacted me on a deep level. Like that's a lot of like the visuals that were cultivated for his set, like the vibe where it goes into like this crazy sound design to then this like harmonic like smooth journey, but it sounds like different but familiar and like organic. I don't know if these hot words are gonna resonate with you, but no, that was just like very inspired for like, oh man, like this is something I'm trying to like cultivate, and like you just put on like a workshop and like a beautiful way to do it. And Charles the First, I mean, dude, who did it better?
we'll never know. Fucking hell.
You know what I'm saying? No, I mean, yeah, just a legend, dude. So I mean, yeah, 100% inspired by Charles, and rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace. I went to his memorial set at Mission Ballroom. Um, I think when it first happened. Uh,
Oof, yeah, I mean, that's just such an example, man, of like someone before their time. I mean,
I could not believe the energy. Like, yeah, just has that happened? Like before or since? Is just the amount of sets that have gone on just in memoriam. For an artist in our scene. I don't know. I don't think so.
well, yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, he was definitely like a prodigy level producer, and I mean, it's just like I watched the stream for that show. I didn't make it out. I was really bummed I missed it. It was sold out intensely so quick.
Oh
I
yeah.
slept for like half of a second and couldn't find a ticket. I watched the stream for, and dude, I mean, just even like the testimonies of like people being there about like how impactful the energy was, and I mean, you know, obviously like his music is goated, and he's known as like a phenomenal dude, but like just as isolating that specific memorial event, and like what it meant to the culture and the scene and the energy there. I mean, you can probably attest to this being in person about just like the sense of like community and bringing people all together, and like yes, it was a bass music show, but also like energetically, like it was just so like emotionally intense. I heard like people crying all over the place and just group hugs, and finding a way to use like obviously the tragedy is like a way to come together for him, make new friends and cultivate. I don't know, man. I just it was truly like a monumentous time for the bass music scene, and it sucks it had to come through that catalyst, but like, you know, the
Yeah.
goat, dude. What more can I say?
There's not much more to be said. I like I said, is and love his music. Who is a producer somewhere in the bass scene. Like I can't even. I don't know. I don't know too many people that know of him and don't like his music, which is kind of interesting. But it's still Okay, we could turn the conversation. Do you know what the cause of his death was? Was it fentanyl related?
I mean, I heard a bunch of rumors. I don't I don't know for sure.
Because they, I don't know. I guess what we could or could not say is, do you know if they came out with an official reason ever?
I don't remember specifically. I mean, I through like hearing things around, I heard it could be fentanyl related, but like I don't know for sure. I don't remember seeing an actual autopsy or whatever it was. So no, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, with the uncertainty, no need to transition the conversation into how fentanyl affects the base scene. Goddamn.
I mean, fuck fentanyl.
Fuck
Go
fentanyl.
ahead and say fuck fentanyl.
For the record, I've never, no, fentanyl has never improved my life, so fuck that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I mean, I tend to associate his death with a fentanyl overdose, even though there's no official reason. Um, I have also heard rumors where it was, just like a fucking bad bag of K, which is like, oh, that sucks because sure that dude could have gotten it wherever the fuck he wanted.
Right. No, I mean, I heard that too, and like honestly, that was at the time too. There was like a big epidemic going around the whole country for it, to where like several like big names ended up dying. It was like something like the number one cause of death from like I want to say like 18 to 50, or I'm probably butchering that statistic, but like it was a huge deal, and like even beyond that incident that like I heard rumors. I don't know if that's the actual thing, but I know like across the board, it was like a fucking big deal. Fentanyl, especially at that time, and killing everyone. And yeah, I mean, it sucks because I mean, you think you just hear like a handful of big celebrities that fentanyl related deaths, and it's like yeah, you could probably get a bag anywhere you want, and just goes to show, man. I mean, and first of all, too, I mean, like life is precious, man. I don't know. I mean, you said you're from Fort Collins. Do you know who Crescendo is?
No, I'm also not from Fort Collins. Just been here the last 2 years. I moved out here recently.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
are they? Yeah, like who are they?
So, his name is Carlisle Walker. He's like a friend of mine. I've been friends for like 7, 8 years, and yeah, we were just like hanging out at Electric Forest, you know, this year, and like maybe a week or two after that, he died. It wasn't fentanyl related. He had like a blood clot in his heart, I believe, but still, it was just young dude, chasing the dream, really good guy, and just out of nowhere, um, just died, man. And it was sudden, and yeah, we're having a memorial for him in like a couple weeks. But like, dude, it's crazy. You're sitting there, you're just talking about your dreams, and appreciating someone in life, and then the next minute you're gone. I mean, it's another reason as well. I mean, it's serendipitous 'cause, the timing doesn't exactly align with this whole change in my life, but personally, it was validating. That it's like, hey, man, like who knows how much time any of us have, to like, do things that you feel like you should be doing, but you don't love doing. I don't know, it validates my experience of like, fuck it, like I'm willing to, live the way I want to live, even if it is hard and sucks at times, versus, who knows, dude? Any of us could go at any time. It's a harsh thought to think.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what do you? It's really hard at any point of your day, whether or not you're having a good day or bad day, to be like, if I died tomorrow, what would I regret? Like, it's just
Yeah, yeah.
big questions.
Dude, yeah, and I mean, no one likes to think about that, and it sucks to like, dwell on that kind of thinking for long. But like, it was one of those moments to where like I don't know, I'm trying to like think about these big questions, but also not be like dragged down by it, and then like you lose like a close friend just out of nowhere. He was a healthy guy, just kind of happened out of the blue, it seemed, and yeah, no, it really, it makes you think about that question, dude. Would I have any regrets if I died tomorrow? And
Well, I have an intuition that you're probably pretty proud of your music label, Make Waves. As for
yeah,
speaking of things where you're not going to regret, how did that start? And what is Make Waves? You know.
I mean, Make Waves nowadays is pretty much just focused on the label part. So, Rich Benkaji, he pretty much like runs the label part.
Big fan over here. Like I love that dude's music I've heard so far. The I've got a whatever song you just released with him was a one of my favorites that I listened to today.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's the homie. We've been homies forever. Back before either of us made dubstep and shit. I mean, he's been a producer for a lot longer than I have. But when I met him, like he was just making like ambient shit. Um, yeah, I was just like a DJ and stuff. And I remember we like went to the first year of Oka together and like moshed to like rhythm and shit. And like after that, we were like so obsessed with like the whole dubstep thing. We're like, oh, this is it, dude. We're gonna start making dubstep, and dude, now he's like fucking making big moves, and he's leveled up like so much, so many times as an artist.
His music is pretty
So proud
tight.
of the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so proud of the boy. But I mean, like, yeah, it's been a long journey, dude. I mean, originally, so back before COVID times, we had like a bunch of different crews, like way back when. So like I know there was like a bunch of people in and out for like our kind of like local scene that were like hosting events. Rich was one of the first. He started doing these events called Art Boogie. Um and yeah, I was like, playing a bunch of those. That was cool. We like lost our venue and that kind of fell off for a minute. Simultaneously, like my roommate had this residency at these spots in the hill in Boulder. It was like Sancho's rooftop and Owsley's on the corner, and so he had like weekly bookings at both of those, where he was just like a pretty much like a bar DJ that would get like a percentage of the bar, and that's how he like paid his rent. And I just think that's super rad. At the time, I was like, how can I like not work bullshit jobs and just like pay my rent doing DJ shit? And yeah, so he like put me on and gave me Sancho's rooftop, and let me take over the weekly there. And that was at the time Art Boogie stopped happening, and so I started like I don't know, just doing the DJ shit there myself. But like I don't know, no one would show up besides like a bunch of you know drunk college kids every now and then. So I had a bunch of bass music friends from the scene in Denver, and um, started this like event crew called High Voltage Collective, and we just like kind of book shows there, and kind of took off into its own life. Rich then like joined up with that, as well as like a few other people. We moved into Cervantes and had like a weekly there for like a year. We combined with the Monday Night Menagerie crew run by Doran Joseph. So like he was like doing like a jam night there. And we tried to do like a Sonic Bloom thing where it was like some jam lineups, some electronic lineups. Eventually transitioned into pretty much all electronic lineups. And we were like getting some traction for a little while before COVID, and we just like wanted to expand off. So I was like, Rich, I'm gonna like focus on like this event shit, but like we should really start like working on a label and like getting our socials up and like actually like helping people who are sick producers building their music career. And so yeah, like the Make Waves like SoundCloud, if you like scroll back far enough, you could see there was like a bunch of compilation albums by like High Voltage, and then like live mixes from DJs and shit. And then when COVID happened, I like pretty much between like a shitty girlfriend and just wanting to be a producer and not throwing shows anymore. I was like, look, I'm just gonna like step away from this for a little bit. And then like Rich was like, well, I want to keep this like SoundCloud going. I want to like keep doing my thing here. And like he like did after parties for a while, which were like a really hot thing in Denver. Um, and that's a whole different story. But yeah, I ended up just like changing the name to Make Waves, and there was also like a lot of I don't know. I just anyone who was like nice to me who DJ'd, I was like, yeah, join the crew, fuck yeah. And so there was like hundreds of like, yeah, we like transitioned to like, oh, it's actually people who are serious about producing. Let's like release your tracks on the label. We'll help like build your brand. We're kind of gonna like call the herd a little bit and only like let like a handful of you guys still like help build this thing. But it's for people who are like really serious and like just like actually trying to like make dope music and make something out of themselves. And Yeah, and so about like the time with like the Spellbind release is when I was like, hey, like I'm like feel like I'm at a decent point producing again. I want to like get involved with like the make waves thing again. You know, you've been like crushing it and like keeping up with it. He has like expanded the crew to like a bunch of our boys that were in it from day one are now helping run things. And so I got to give him all the credit, man. Like Rich took like this baby idea that, you know, really wasn't going anywhere and like refined it and put in a lot of work into it to like make it to the make waves you see today. So I mean, yeah, I gotta give him the credit on this one.
Snaps all around. That's dope. I know. So it was your idea, you said, or like kind of like your inception of a music label, and then things kind of took over on Rich's end.
I mean, it was like a group idea, you know, we
Okay,
were just like
yeah.
all like thinking about ways to like, you know, have everyone grow as artist. And he was like the one where like I was like, I want to focus on the events. You know, want you to kind of like take point on this label thing. So, like, besides like I did like DJ mixes on there, but as far as like cultivating like our first compilation albums and stuff. That was pretty much all Rich. I did like the graphics and shit, but like he was the one who like you know he was the producer, and so I don't know if you felt this, but I feel like producers, especially in Denver, it's kind of like a boys club where like if you're not a producer, just like no one respects you. And so here I was like this promoter DJ, and like I know I've had like friends and shit, and some people were just my homies, but most of the time we're like, hey, we want like legit producers on here and shit. Rich was like that gap because he like was actually a legit producer, and so I know it's one thing to like you're like, hey, you know, believe in this vision. We'll like you know do what we can for you, but it's like a kind of fundamental starting off thing. Is just like, oh, I'm just like a guy that wants to like get in the music scene versus like, oh, I see you're like someone who's put in years of effort to like be an amazing artist and like you're really like doing what you can to help the community. You know, just a different intention. So like I know from day one that was the vision is like Rich to be running things and yeah, he's been running it ever since.
Well, that's awesome. I do like it as a label. I think they put out some pretty cool stuff. I plan to put out a label in a similar vein, with some homies. I think a lot of people are making labels, and I'm happy to see your drop in our beautiful bucket. So everyone go check out Make Waves.
Hell yeah, thank you, dude.
I wanted to ask this. This leads me to a question I have, I guess. So I wanted when I first started DJing, I had a pretty distorted view of what a DJ actually was. I assumed that the DJ had a lot more, the power than they actually had, because I only wanted to go to like a pop. I actually got a gig at a really popular bar, but it was because I knew how to mix, and the guy gave me the gig, and dude, I was so ignorant. I immediately like I thought because I was the DJ, I could just spin EDM all night. Like I genuinely thought that it was just my fucking 4 hours, and EDM was the vibe. So I got proven wrong pretty quickly because it was like just a really popular shitty college bar. And I got, yelled at, yada, 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 yada. And then once I finally figured that scene out, I get into the, more of the actual EDM scene, and no one wants to book me because I don't produce. And I'm like, God damn it, what the fuck? Well, I just want to spin, I just want to spin music for like an hour, 2 hours. And so now I'm like, I'm much better at I've been producing for, at least 5 years now. So I've got some chops, but I don't have any releases yet. Why do you think there's such a gap in the scene? Like, I don't know. Like, I think you might have just said it where you like, I think producing might actually show your vision a bit better than if you're just spinning. But like, I think you could be a sick DJ with, all we do is spin and produce beats that are awesome. Like, throw four of them on a track or on your decks.
Yeah. No, I mean I hear you, dude. Like I've been on both sides of overall, man. I mean, first of all, bass capital. Like the scene is just so crazy saturated with bass music out here. I feel like almost anywhere else in the country or the world, you play EDM, it's like a unique experience and people are just there to vibe. But Denver specifically, bro, it's like if you're not coming with like the plates, people are just not gonna dance. They'll like straight up walk away from the stage. Like they're like, I've heard it all. playing unreleased shit. Like, you can go ahead and fuck right off. And like, it's like everyone, dude. Like people who like don't produce or just like fans. Like they are very well educated on the bass scene and follow the pop culture of it all, and like are like expecting to like hear new shit every time. They do not want to hear the same song twice. Um, which is kind of different than like old school band culture where they're just like play the hits, give me Freebird. Like it's total opposite. They like new shit every time. If you're gonna play the same track, it better be like a edit or something. And so I don't know. There's part of that in there, but overall, like I think there's also like this kind of gap where maybe like Boulder, they like just as you said, college bars, they just kind of want the experience or this or that, but overall, like I don't know, there's like this kind of like movement of like where electronic music is going and the latest stuff coming out, and there's like something about I don't know, specifically I think Denver scene. I mean, there's a lot of other scenes out there too, and I haven't really experienced that, so I can't quite speak on if that's the same for them. But I know for at least in Denver, dude, I feel like um it's like responsible for a lot of like the you know you come out here, you like play what's hot, you're like trend setting and like coming out with like what's going to be like the new respected shit here. And on top of that, then like market value, if you're talking about like getting bookings and stuff, like preaching to the choir, dude. I mean, like, unless you like you're friends with the local promoters out here, like just want to put you on, like to like actually get like bookings from people. It's like a trajectory of like, oh, are you going to be like one of the people that are like helping like grow the scene and like setting these new trends in bass music by coming up with this new sounds and vibes and beats and sound design and all that shit. And so I mean, like if they see you're just like a regular DJ, beyond being just like one out of literally a million. I feel like everyone out here is a bass music DJ. Just like setting yourself out and actually being like, oh, like this is gonna be like a long term trajectory for me. Because also I've seen like a bunch of people who are like, oh yeah, I DJ for fun when I can, but then like a few months later they're like, oh no, I like kind of got out of it, and even producers do that. But I feel like you book someone too, it's like all trying to understand their like market value and shit, and it's like a kind of like a longevity thing, or being like, I've only worked at fucking Red Robin for 2 weeks versus I've put like 5 years as a line cook in, so you can trust me as a line cook. That was a horrible analogy, but I'm trying. So
Not as bad as you might think. I currently work at Chiba Hut, so it made plenty of sense to me.
hell yeah, no, that was my most of my career is working in the food industry. So yeah.
What Red Robin?
No, I wish. No, no. Last job I had in the food industry, I was the banquet chef at the aquarium. So
Whoa,
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, that's just like would make like cheese displays and like listen to dubstep and shit all day. It was pretty cool. Besides the fact that like, once the events actually happen, you get like bridezillas coming up, being like,
Oh,
oh, by the way, I want like 200 gluten-free options, in like the next 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, well, we've been prepping this for like 3 days, so sorry. I don't know. There's I can ramble on forever about all different. I've been a bus boy, line cook, fucking server, banquets, you know. So I have plenty of spicy takes on the food industry, but it paid the bills for so many years. I gotta also show gratitude.
yeah, I feel that. I was a waiter from like 18 to 20, and then now I'm a bartender. So working.
Bartender, I feel like is a sweet gig. So like my stepbrother is a bartender right now, still back in Florida, and I think like between like the taxes to where like maybe you get like a little bit of wage, but a lot of your wages like tips to where like you can like account for a lot, but then not have to like get fucked too hard. Like anywhere from like 27 to like $40 an hour. And I know for me, even when I got pay bumps and like actual wage jobs, the taxes on it afterwards, like I would not see pretty much any difference in my paychecks after getting a raise. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Damn, that's crazy. Oh, why? Because you like bumped a bracket or something?
I guess so. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I went from like fucking $20 an hour to like 25 an hour, and it's like my paychecks look exactly the same. Like, what the fuck is happening? They're like, I guess my taxes. I don't know, dude.
Damn. That's well, yeah, no, that's life for you, and I think it is turning out to be a pretty sweet gig on my end. I think it's something I'm gonna try and foster because it just the hours work for me. It's a night thing. I don't have to stress about getting up in the morning. That's great for me. Um, and on top of that, like I don't know, I haven't had any terrible experiences yet. I will have some awful experiences, I know. Um, plus, I don't know. I tend to be pretty good at mirroring people's energy, and acting dumb, which are all very great tool sets or tools for being a bartender. Um,
I mean, Chiba Hut, dude, that's a prime place to be doing the bartending thing. Because I mean, I don't know. I've have like one of my homies' girlfriends works at Chiba Hut, and she always talks about like how chill it is there, and overall every time I've gone in there, it's like I don't know. I vibe heavily with like the stoner personality type, and so yeah, man,
It's
you nailed it.
it's so great. I legitimately stumbled into it. Like somebody just I was like, "Yo, I need a job. Where should I go?" Like this most like I just asked that in a text message because I couldn't like find a remote corporate job. And dude was like, "Chiba Hut." He gave me like a list of three restaurants. I went to Chiba Hut. First one, I was like, "I want to be a bartender." And they were like, "We only have line cooks available." And I was like, "All right, I need money." And then yeah, then I just kind of fell into the bartending position because not a lot of people there were 21 yet. The people that were just didn't want to do it. And oh, perks of working at Shiva Hut. Yeah, you can smoke whenever and how much you want.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just and like environment wise too, man. Like, there's something to be said about like the easygoing nature of people who smoke weed. So I
yeah.
appreciate that in a work environment.
It's nice. Like my go it's so funny working in the food industry and like my most valid excuse when someone's sandwich is taking too long, I, I will not get in trouble for looking at them dead in the eye and going like, we're not really known for being fast. It's like what am I gonna say? Like it's all part of the bit.
Man, that's amazing. Hell yeah, brother. We've been covering some good topics here, man. I felt like this is gonna be like a lot of fucking producing talk, which we've gotten into a little bit, but man, like we're spreading it out here. I can appreciate it.
I like to keep it really open form. I had a really long list of questions just that because I started off with a bunch of standard ones that I normally end up covering anyways. Um, but like I did, it's you're just fun to talk to. You're helping me learn a lot about the Denver music scene. It's part of why I moved out to Colorado was just to be closer to Denver. I want to be an artist. I want to be someone with something unique, and I want to put that out in a place where there seems to be a culture for it. So that's why I moved out to Colorado. I'm happy to. I'm really excited and stoked about what you've been saying so far. Even though it sounds like a grind and a machine in itself, a different kind of machine other than the 9 to 5 one that desperately trying so hard to avoid. So it's very cool. I think Denver does have a unique music scene that LA, uh, potentially DC. I don't know. I think maybe Florida. I talked to Deem Zoo about it. I think the scene is really different in Denver, um, and I think like just different historically. Like it is. You're right. It's not all about the hits. It's about something new. The thing that I think about that would make me a good DJ when I think about it is like, oh, I would need edits, or like sick edits. Like that's what I want to do to take my art further. And it sounds like I'm in a place with like-minded people. So very, very, very tight.
Definitely came to the right place, dude. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be a grind, but it's like the old saying, man. I mean, if you really love what you do, it doesn't really feel like that. And I know, like personally, like, and you're part of it, dude. Honestly.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Like I said, I've just found you on the interwebs. So was a fan first, and hopefully I'm a friend now. I would like to um talk about some more production stuff though, maybe to satisfy that craving.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
get into it, dude.
do you use Ableton?
Yeah, yeah, Ableton for sure. I'm still on 10. I notice you're an 11 guy. I haven't quite made the leap.
I was desperately trying to use my student discount before it ran out. So
Nice.
that's what, yeah, I got, dude, it's 40% off with a student discount. So I sent that when I graduated college.
That is a smart move. And honestly, so like I'm seeing a lot of perks on 11 now, and I want to make the leap. I just had to upgrade my computer a little bit ago, and now that I'm rocking the unemployed journey for the foreseeable future, it might be a little more difficult, but
I can see
yeah,
that for
those are
sure.
yeah, but macros and then automation lanes with 11 just seem like game changing. So I mean, I've taken lessons with a bunch of like producers that I look up to, Vector, Resonant Language, Zebler and Canty, Taboo, and like all the reoccurring theme is like if you can build like an aleatoric rack with a bunch of macros, then like you can like surgically mud pie, and then you can like just have like this amazing control that you don't have to like go through and all these like tiny little parameters, but like just have like a list of knobs that like as long as you're like fundamentally aware of what they do, it is like very much plug and play for writing music, and
I
that's just
think,
something.
can you explain what you mean when you say mud, mud?
Aleatoric.
No, no, no. Well, yes, aleatoric and surgical mud pie.
Yeah, so I mean, aleatoric is just like you pretty much can just like hit one MIDI key and you just have like a infinitely changing variation of like shit that sounds good coming out. So I mean, like overall, it's like essentially like you don't have to like build a bunch of parts. You can just like hit a note on your keyboard and you get like a polished sound that sounds good. And like I guess like technically it would be like a changing version of that, but in the context I used it is like essentially like you build the sound and then you can like easily apply it across the board, and it's like a polished sound. You don't need to like compress it or like do anything to like make it sound good in post besides like general mixing techniques. But the surgical mud pie part is also kind of in that like realm to where like are you familiar with what a mud pie is?
I think I just wanted to make sure we were thinking about the same technique. Is it just like, is a mud pie just like a mishmash of sounds, and then you can like pick what you like out of it afterwards?
Pretty much. Yep, yep.
Okay.
So yeah, like you just like hit record as it's like recording, you just, hold down a note or hit a couple notes and you just hit like a bunch of parameters just randomly all over the place. Maybe you even like map to like a bunch of like knobs you have on like an APC 40 or something, and like as it's recording you just like twist random knobs and just do whatever you can to like, I don't know, hit all these parameters at once, and then you go back through and you like cut out like excerpts of that to make music out of. So I mean that's like the traditional mud pie technique where it creates like a audio track and you chop up the audio track. But what I am like referring to with like the surgical mud pies is like you record it all with this like pretty much your MIDI instrument, whether it's serum operator, whatever it is, and then as you're recording, you have like everything you hit is automated. And so if you have like a bunch of like your key parameters macroed, like I think the limit on 10 is like 6, 8 maybe. I think 6. 11 you can have as many as you want. But essentially like all the things that like fundamentally affect the sound, you can like macro those as you're like turning knobs to like create this mud pie. Um you have pretty much everything that you would have in the audio mud pie, but it's all automated in MIDI. So let's say you find like a happy accident that is like really sick, and you're like, ooh, this like 2-second clip out of this like 5-minute recording of me just kind of trying shit and experimenting sounds really fire. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna like isolate everything that's going on in the MIDI at that point and figure out what's creating that sound. And I can either like chop it up, edit, use it for what it is, or just like retain the technique and like use that to create an instrument. So it's like control, because I'm sure you've gotten it into points where like you mud pie with audio and you're like, this is like 90% there to being like a dope sound, but like I can't fix it through EQing. I can't fix it through compression. Anything in post is not going to make it cleaner. I need to like fundamentally build the sound again. And that's the benefit of macroing and doing it all in MIDI.
So because you'll have all of because your macros will be recorded.
Well, I mean, just like everything that creates the sound via the instrument, the synthesizer or whatever, it's going to be recorded. And so, let's say you have like your FM knob and your distortion and your filter are all combining to make this like sick sound. You can go back through and it's like, oh, this sound would just be sicker with like a little bit lower of a filter. Maybe you can't like accomplish that without, messing up the noise. It's like a notch filter, so you can't quite like accomplish that the same in post, but like fundamentally building the sound with the way like things are organized in the chain, you could just go back through and like adjust that, and then you have like a complete good sounding synth.
Will I assume this won't work if you have a randomizer on it though, right? Like, because then technically you're forced to work with audio if it's your MIDI's just randomized.
I mean, I suppose like maybe with like the LFO tool for Max for Live random mode where like you couldn't tell where it was at the time, but I'm pretty sure like even in that case, so it's like randomly changing where the parameter of whatever you map it to is going to be. Wherever the parameter was at the time will be recorded in your automation lane.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's how I learn. I like to take ideas that you've handed me and immediately break them. So I'm glad that that works. Um, like
Yeah,
I was just trying to find a way to like break what you said, but that's just me trying to learn, not trying to say anything like be like like that.
no,
That's not
dude,
gonna
I'm
work.
right there with you. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the fun part about all this, right? Is it's we're kind of like forging new grounds here, and that's personally why I like to learn from dudes who I feel like have this like incredibly clean, like mind blowing sound design. Where it's like, how did you possibly make this? And part of it is just like this man of like trying to like break the system of like what you think is possible and figure it out. So no, I'm all for it, dude. Let's nerd out.
So do you do you've got great sound design. You're you're great with your volume control. Your like your Cloud Forest tag I really like because not only does it like not only like it I had to listen to it twice to understand that it was someone saying Cloud Forest. Like it's part of the song. It's not, like a tag. And the reason it feels so part of a song, I think, was I thought it was just mixed really well. The beginning of it, like with the K within the cloud is not really present. You can just tell what it is. Your brain just kind of fills it in, and that's where I was like, this guy's a DJ. I can tell. Um,
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like an official sound drop too. Me and my homie were just chilling, and I was like, here, like, record this into my phone. So,
well, yeah, and then you put an effect on it. Yeah, but so where was I going with that? I was God damn it. Um,
mixing volume.
yeah, mixing volume. How much sound design do you do while you're working on a track, and how much sound design do you do like in sound design sessions and mud pieing and like gathering all these sounds and then like because here's what happens to me. Sometimes I'll be mud pieing and then I'll find something that I think is dope, and I'm like, oh my god, that sound, that one sound just inspired a whole song. And I guess before I had the chops to really, feel that out or bring that out in a quick amount of time, um, I wouldn't really feel like I had the tools to like turn that one sound into a song right there on the spot. So it just kind of felt like there was a disconnect there and it made me confused. Like do you often sound design while you're mixing a song or are you like pulling from stuff you've already made?
I mean, dude, I feel the exact same way you do. I mean, sometimes I'm like making a song and I have like this certain vision in mind. I like accidentally create this patch that I'm like, this doesn't fit this song, but like I have an idea for this specific patch that like I just kind of have to put this project on pause and go like make something with this patch and like sits in the catacombs and like maybe every now and then when like I really need something that like I know I'm not inspired for and I just kind of like dig around to see what I have, but most of the time like it's I have to like make it on the spot. And personally, I'm at this like point in producing to where I'm trying to like be better at efficiency. So like I don't know, my old style of producing was like straight up like happy accident mud pie mishmash. Like I'm just gonna like take all these like random weird noises and like see like how weird can I get with turning this like random obscure pattern into a beat. And like I was like, this is like a really cool like take on it to where, it's like not something you can easily mouth, but it works and it sounds cool. Nowadays I feel like that is so much effort and I like take so long to finish tracks of that style. I really just like want to start out with an idea. I like try to like fundamentally like I'm like, okay, I want to go for this sound. I try to like design it right there and I like tap it out and like the MIDI keyboard and maybe get like four or five like fundamental noises and then like use sound design that's experimental as like fills and like transitions and maybe like a little spice in the end, but really try to stick to more of like a fundamental approach when writing nowadays just for pure efficiency. And also I feel like the big dogs, that's what they do. It's very rare to hear dudes that get like crazy experimental while not being intentional. Tipper is maybe that one guy where I could say like, is that intentional? Because that is really far out there. But I mean, he's the goat. So
Absolutely. Absolutely true in all ends. So what would you say is like your main technique going into a song? Like if you were to open up Ableton right now, work on a new song, or do you kind of wait to be inspired, or do you work on music all the time?
I mean, I try to do the thing where like I know you sit down and you try to like I know force something to come up. And I'm like generally speaking, like when I'm super inspired, I'm like far more efficient than when I'm not. And sometimes when I'm like forcing it, I can like straight up just like destroy a track that was dope or sit and do something terrible for a couple hours. Like so but I'm trying to do the thing where like I know there was a book called like the War of Art, Art of no War of Art, yeah, where it just talks about like if you can like train the muscle of your muse and like you sit down and you show up enough, you get better at being able to call upon your muse when you need it. But most of the time, like my best tracks, you make in like a couple hours when you're like super inspired. And I've just totally destroyed tracks from trying to push it because I feel like I should be being productive. So I don't know. It's a balance, man.
Right. I tend to think of it pretty similar as like going to the gym or actually I've got a good question after this, but like it's when you're forcing it, you're kind of flexing a muscle, which is not really the same as you needing that muscle for something very practical as in like your inspiration. Like you don't go to the gym because that I guess technically like you don't technically need to like go and exert that much energy and burn that many calories, but you are doing it so that when you need to do that things, that's that strong or that quick, you have the tools in order to do so. So I just feel like it's pretty similar parallel.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, I know they talk about like, moms getting like Hulk strength when like their babies being crushed and they lift cars up. And so I probably butchered that whole sentence, but you get me. You needs to save your baby. A mom can then lift a car and shit.
Yeah, the
So
adrenaline it'll destroy the body in the process, but it will do it.
yeah, yeah. Which I've spent plenty of festivals destroying my body for the sake of art, but no, I mean like yeah, when you're truly like in the zone and you're like this is like me in the zone in the pocket, like I am just dialed in for the sake of like this art is coming to me at this time and I can execute it. Like there's no beating that mind state, but I think there is something to be said too or like the dudes who are like really good at it. It seems like pretty much whenever they can like block in time for themselves to like write something sick, they can at least come out with something like good, not like complete trash. So I don't know. I'm trying to build that muscle.
Right. Yeah. So this is kind of a say. It's like rather or like what oh, man, what is a non-musical inspiration, I'd say.
That's a good one. Um, I mean, like obviously, the music ones are easy, like seeing a dope set or whatever. But like non-musical inspirations, um, I feel like taking a break from and just like doing like cool life stuff. I mean, I know some people talk about like adversity is like, inspires like the great muses of their time and like being able to like alchemize
I
Like,
thought my coke habit would have gotten me like three top hit albums by now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. No, yeah, it's like all my shitty ex-girlfriends who should have gotten me an Emmy by now, but no. Who knew that it would just, yeah. So I think there's like, I don't know, in an ideal world, like, being able to take life experience and then like learn a lesson from that and then like convey that into your art. But with electronic, I don't know, man. Like for me, most electronic is like catharsis energy. It's like, you get like different vibes from listening to different music, and I'm like listening to like a chill, like acoustic track, like someone playing their acoustic guitar and singing. I'm like, oh, this is like, reflective, get some insights, relax, meditate. When I listen to a bunch of bass music, for me, it's like confidence, um, ability to go achieve what you want out of life. Like, feel like you're releasing pent up energy, um, maybe even like summoning more energy. So like with that mind state, it's not as easy for me to like transmute like the like painful and like real life experiences into that. But like overall, like giving myself the need to like have that kind of like exploration and fulfillment and excitement, like by doing something maybe like mundane. I don't know, like, going for a long hike, taking a break from music for, just a few weeks and doing stuff that's just like really chill and relaxing to where at the end of it, I'm like, all right, I'm ready for something like kind of fun and exciting. And that really inspires me. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, no, I think it does. Like, because well, it just kind of answered like so when you're not doing music or when you're taking a break from music, kind of exploring the other end of the spectrum, like of the emotional spectrum, is healthy for the other side.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, I'm a pretty like emotionally driven person. I feel like so many things in my life is all about that. So, I mean, if I can just like take a break from feeling things and disconnect, I mean, nothing's better for me when I'm like not doing music to just like leave my phone and go out of service and go chill in nature somewhere and just kind of do like, chill things, not like crazy activities or whatever, but just kind of be. I don't know. I'm a dude who can be very satisfied doing nothing. So just kind of different forms of doing nothing.
I completely agree. I had to learn what my doing nothing actually was. I call it listening to the music of nature, is because I can't actually be doing nothing.
So I want you to elaborate on that. So like listening to the music of nature.
So I heard it in an Alan Watts quote, but I was like doing it way before I heard him say it. And like the way he put it was very specific, and specifically the way that I do it, where it's like if you're outside or if you're like anywhere, you don't have to be like in nature. You could be in a public park or um in your car, I guess, but it's kind of neat and nice in nature. I think my one of my best friends growing up, I think he was doing this before I did, but like or figured it out before I did, but it just like means it's kind of like listening for textures, like and to put it in the most familiar producer way, it's kind of just like if nature kind of produces a lot of texture sounds, and like all I have to do is put them in context, and I'm not going to hear everything, even I'm not even going to hear everything that's hitting my ears. I'm going to like miss a couple things because I'm going to selectively hear and listen to certain sounds that are more efficient or more familiar to me. So what I'm doing is I just feel like I'm listening and waiting for things to interpret and like slice into, listen when you're by yourself, listen to the sounds around you as if you were listening to a song. And I think that's probably a more cleaner way of putting it.
I love that, dude. Heck yeah.
So that's and it's also, I mean, it's hella trippy, sober and not sober.
I mean, dude, I feel like I hyper fixate on like so many details of life. I don't know if it's just having eaten so much acid throughout my lifetime, but like I can get tripped out at like literally nothing. Like you're watching like a beetle cross a leaf, and it's like just imagine what it's like and how big that leaf is.
Yep, I know the feeling. Especially when I might, when I microdose, I tend to fucking wig myself out on like really basic concepts. Yeah, I just start asking the big questions.
Let's get into it, dude. I'm here for it.
Yeah. But well, yeah, no. Well, that's just like it helped me. It helped me. It used to feel the reason I started doing it was because I was really uncomfortable with silence, and it didn't like I hated it, and it was part of the reason why I like blasted metal music and loud music in my ears when I was younger. I just really was uncomfortable with silence. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. Being in a room with someone else and in silence was a horrific feeling. Uh, and silence isn't necessarily negative, which I've learned recently. It's just it's a neutral thing. So when I would be outside or somewhere by myself and no one to talk to, maybe no music to listen to, I'd be really uncomfortable. So that was just one of my coping strategies, was just to like, okay, no, this I am listening to music. It's just a really weird song.
I mean, dude, I don't know if you experienced this at all, but like for me, it's hard for me to be like happy and hungry at the same time. So like I don't know, when I'm like home and like, just I have like my agenda of like, here's my goals I want. It's hard for me to like sit idly by and like feel like I'm not being productive when like I know in reality like giving myself space to know go through like certain like emotional processes of like disconnecting and not being like go go go, like appreciate the moment and like disconnect every now and then, even like do things like take care of like my body and like my head state through like if it's meditation or whatever it is, like finding like a rational excuse to like allocate that time to do so is just like a continuous problem for me, which is why like normally I need the catalyst of like, oh, I'm gonna like go out into nature and like disconnect from Wi-Fi and shit for all this time, and that'll be my excuse. But like just in like regular life, it's like a continuous problem to where like I love sitting in silence, but in my normal life, like my brain just spirals like, you're not being productive. You should be doing stuff. You should be working harder. And yeah, that's the uncomfortableness for me.
I think I had a similar uncomfortableness. I think like with this like sitting in silence and stuff like that. Like I for a while I just didn't realize that I never did that. Like if my idea of a good time was not anything to do with silence, it was usually like having people over plus listening to music. And if I was by myself or like just wanted to chill out and smoke a blunt with somebody and they didn't really want to talk, we're listening to music. And it was really just I completely ignored like how silence made me feel for a while because I was able to avoid it so easily.
Oh yeah, I mean, big same, dude. I mean, I know like personally throughout life, that's like one of those things that like it is like that rationalization of like, oh, I'm like hanging with friends, I'm like socializing, and to me that feels like, oh, it makes perfect sense as to why I'm not doing this or that, because socialization is a good excuse to do so. But like it's something to be said for like being able to like sit with yourself in silence, like is a beneficial part of life.
Right.
Like this is an analogy I constantly use, but like in prison, the worst thing that anything worse than being locked up with rapists and murderers and shit is being alone with your thoughts in solitary confinement. Like that's something you need to do as a human. I don't give myself enough space to do it a lot of the time because I can just distract myself with friends and music and activities.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I agree. I think every year with all this new technology, but regardless, the way yeah, it you mentioned the voice in the back of your head was more of like a B, like a hyper productive voice, and such. Mine was more of a negative voice, just kind of being like very projecting out, like assuming the worst in every category. So it would make me very depressed, because I was just very pessimistic.
I mean, that makes total sense. I mean, dude, I've had that all my life as well, and of course, I think the internal ones, like about me, were the ones that like really disturbed me. I mean, because of course, you know, you can probably put two and two together with like growing up being a metalhead, having just a general hatred for the world and everyone around you is like very much in tune.
Yeah,
But
very
and
much
it
the
like
vibe.
yeah. But after a while, it like turns on you, and it's like, oh, I have nothing left to hate but myself, and it's like, fuck.
The
Yeah.
void
So
stares back.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest that voice like you know being like oh you're not good enough you're you know fucking your music sucks you're you know not making any money you know all that shit you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, well, so they're more similar then, because I guess being, you know, it's I feel like it's probably harder than ever now today to not compare yourself to others than it has been, you know, ever in history. And I feel like a lot of my negative thoughts and a lot of that hyper productivity, you know, it took me a while to separate out what I thought I wanted versus what, I would just, or how do I put that better? Wait, hold on. Wait. Yes, yeah. Essentially I tricked myself into thinking that I wanted a lot of shit that I actually didn't want. And then I actually couldn't. And then like the stuff that really bothers me now is like knowing that, not being productive and getting the stuff that now I know I've taken the time that I really want.
Oh yeah, I mean there's such like a veil of like this is what you need for happiness and like I know there's definitely like truths to all certain things you know and like the old adage like money can't buy happiness like it's true. Money also does help in a lot of ways and you know can help avoid a bunch of the things like if you're not happy but it by itself you know doesn't buy happiness and like I don't, this is kind of just an intrusive thought about this whole thing that comes up for my life personally, as far as like the social media age and this or that. Do you have a girlfriend or a boy? Are you dating someone? Are you single?
Yeah, I have a girlfriend.
A girlfriend. Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been together?
We've been together coming up on 3-ish years.
3 years. Okay. Well, I mean, you're probably like maybe in this like zone here that might be relevant, but like, so I know like personally, I got out of like a long-term relationship like maybe 2 years ago, and it was like a big like kind of like awakening of like how things operate nowadays. Where like I don't know if this was like you on your experience back when you and your girlfriend met, but dude, like social media is like this like huge like necessary component of like a value scale now to where like I said, dude, I've never been like a crazy social person and not only is it necessary for like music opportunities, but I've also like a new thing that I've like came to realize is so like an Instagram account is kind of like a resume in the dating world now.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, we're to where like I know I like never really like gave a fuck about it, and yeah, then like all of a sudden like it's just like a weird kind of like dynamic thing to where like not only like for my career I need to like be on my social media building it all the time interacting with people that's what the algorithm likes is spending time interacting with posts blah 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 but then to like even be like kind of worth it in like love like terms like do I want to like have love in my life like let alone like opportunities and career and support from my community or whatever it's all like coming back down into like this fucking funnel to like social media to where like if I want all these things in my life I have to spend like 4 hours a day on my phone and that's like less and less like time I give myself to actually sit and like just be with myself and so like the stimulation of constantly like, oh, I'm like checking back to like this training a muscle thing to where like my muscle has gotten so weak with being able to just like be comfortable with silence and boredom and not being stimulated. Like the second I'm like not getting the stimulation, it's like, oh man, it's like super uncomfortable and weird. And like I know there's not really like room for that in the normal world to where like a vacation isn't necessarily a destination, but like an excuse to like train this muscle to like turn off my phone for a bit and just kind of live in the moment. It sounds far out and weird, dude, but
No, no, it doesn't. It's we live in a Black Mirror world. Like Black Mirror is hardly a science fiction show. Um,
oh yeah.
And as far as what you're saying about the dating life, like I will, my grain of hope to you would be that you're in the right community to find someone who probably cares a bit less about the dating or the social media hierarchy, or more, potentially doesn't have one, therefore wouldn't care about one. I think you'd be in the right community. But I completely agree with what you said. Because I mean, on a super simple level, like primal level is like the dating scene is goes a bit like, oh, I met this new guy. Oh, what's he look like? Does he, oh, let me show you his Instagram. Oh, he doesn't have an Instagram. Oh, he's weird. And it's like that's just like how the conversation's gonna go.
I mean, at its root, so like I remember specifically like when I started dating again, after I wasn't single for like 5 years or something like that, so it was like felt like learning to walk and shit again. And it's a different time too, like post COVID, where like everyone is on their phones and super ingrained with this. Um, I don't know, maybe I took some things for granted as far as like perspective for like women's safety. Like maybe I just like missed this boat having like a girlfriend forever, but like because I like barely like I had like an Instagram with maybe like a couple posts up and like didn't really like have like much social media present, and like I had like a Facebook and shit, but like um no one gives a fuck about Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
So
No, Facebook is where I go to find like really dark shit that the algorithm missed.
yeah, so yeah, dude. I mean, the Instagram was like the big thing, and I would like straight up like have these like date situations to where like I know there was like obviously like a bunch of like vetting going on to like make sure I wasn't like this weird murderer,
Yep.
and like
That's usually how the
I
first date
dude, yeah, I mean like I get it, like I obviously be safe out there, ladies, but like it just felt weird for me. I was like, wow, like this is how they know you're not. I mean, obviously they're still vetting, but like this is how, like, for the most part, they know you're like a normal dude, is if you have like photos of you and your friends on your Instagram and shit. I
Yeah.
don't know. This is a weird lesson for me.
No, dude, no, it's a valid lesson. And yeah, I mean, well, think about it, right? Like it's kind of the easy way of doing it if we're being real. Like not but what, 10 years ago, that was not an option.
Right,
You
right.
couldn't just be like, like you'd vet someone a bit more intellectually, or you ask questions that only a real person, not an NPC, could answer. You just had fucking standards, and now it's more like, nah, he hangs out with his friends. These couldn't be AI generated. Like,
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Well, I mean, and so there's also something to be said, like, Fort Collins might be a little different, but and it's also maybe my taste in women. I might give myself a little responsibility in this equation here, but um so this is back to like a primal thing too. So like I've read this book that like essentially like is a woman who like studied like history and like pretty much um the way that like forms our attraction to other people and like what makes attraction possible, and like the things that like I guess are like the fundamental causes of attraction for each other, broken down by genders. And like obviously like a lot of it didn't account for like modern stuff like trans people and homosexual relationships, but like for the most part it was talking about like um I don't know if this is like um I'm gonna butcher this quote here, but like it's essentially what she was saying is that like why like men don't necessarily care for like career successes in the way that maybe women do. Like when looking for a partner, they mostly just like look for like things that it would be like a conventionally attractive woman when
yeah,
looking for a mate, and not all this other stuff. When generally for women, attraction comes later, and like not that women don't find men attractive and want the abs and all that shit, but like for the most part, they have like other systems of value, like financial stability being like maybe like super strong, where they're like a provider or a protector. And or you see these situations where it's like these young beautiful women with these like old decrepit men with a bunch of money. That's common for this like provider kind of aspect, to where like the whole like you can take care of me, and like you have maybe status amongst the community to where this would be another way to you could protect and provide for me is like a value system that's like kind of just encoded in the DNA of like subconscious attraction. And so like I don't know, this is me getting super deep on everything back to the beetle on the leaf, but like in general for like the dating scene, like part of like the Instagram thing too, is like seeing like where your successes and values are and whatever you're trying to go for here. And like I don't know, it's like a lost art nowadays of like, you know, just kind of like maybe uh energetic connection and like the things that were like classically like formed for compatibility. There's like a lot more of these like standards that like come in once you're holding yourself on like a global resume system like Instagram to where like, oh, I my feed is full of like Dan Blazarian motherfuckers, you know, with, you know, fucking millions of dollars and abs and all that shit. And now you're on this value scale system here. I don't know, I feel like it's creating a lot more incels and
Well,
it's a hot take.
I think, I mean, we agree. We actually agree. I agree with what you're saying. It's a downward spiral. And the reason it is because biologically, I mean, biologically, jealousy comes from you comparing yourself to your neighbor. And, like going back not too long ago, let's say like 200 years, you're on a farm, life's kind of shit. Maybe you're in Europe and, that's shit. So like you're living life, you don't have your phone, you don't have an internet, and maybe your neighbor has like a one more cow than you, and so now you're jealous and you're envious because your neighbor who's in the same neighborhood has, a better life than you. But the age of like TV comes along, and like, the media age comes along, and what happens is I think our brains get like neurological, like our neurons just get tricked into thinking that the people on TV and the people that we have on our cell phones are our neighbors. And so now that's why our value system is so easily skewed, because we're not looking around us at like our local community. We're looking into a portal of like debauchery.
Oh, dude, 1,000%. I mean, you think about it like our grandparents when they were growing up, like they had like 10 people maybe in like their neighborhood, or like, you know, if they live in like a big city, like, you know, you think about how big like your average circle is of people and like meeting new people or whatever, like you might have like tops like 100 people to choose from as far as mates, but most likely you got like the 10 people in your small little town to choose from, and that's like your choice, that's your comparison, that's, you know, how you have for your value system. Now with like the internet and shit, dude, I mean, it's like there's so many options, and you know they say like the most common way to meet people now is no longer in the wild, but dating apps is now like the number one way
Yeah.
people meet each other for relationships now. And like the fucking swipe culture where it's like, oh well, you know, attraction first over everything, and if like
First of all, I agree with you. But I have been thinking that I've always swiped in my mind, always.
yes, yes, but the difference is like the standards. So now, like they know like there's like a million jabronis that, you know, are gonna. So I one of my roommates is a girl, and like, you know, she's an attractive person. You know, she's not an international supermodel. You know, I would say she's like a pretty moderately attractive person. But like she got on like a dating app, and within like 20 hours had like 1,400 likes. So
Yeah, yeah, it's very skewed.
so I mean, yeah,
It's skewed. It's not skewed for men. It's if it's any, it's actually skewed against men, and it's kind of leeching off of men and skew yes than men do. Like the dating strategies are completely opposite. Men will just swipe on the major. They'll cast a very wide net, and women will do the exact opposite. And like if I believe the numbers I saw, where men will swipe on 80% of women on the scale on the high end, and then on the high end of women is only like 20%. So it's already biologically skewed the wrong way. And Tinder will only profit if more men use the site, because more men will use the site. So they're just going to skew it towards like the direction it's already been biologically biased into, because that's going to make them the most money, get them the most user base, and go and burn through the most people the quickest.
oh yeah, oh yeah, and then like the byproduct of all this is like oh, this guy has like a fucking freckle 2 inches below his eyebrow. Nah, swipe. It's like it's just ridiculous now, bro. Where it's I sound like this all the time. And you're like back in my day, but like fuck, dude, it's a different world, and
I,
it's shocking, like going from like relationship life to single life, and like seeing the difference from like a 5 year jump.
Yeah, well, uh, yeah, when first got a girlfriend in high school, like I know it's high school, but the dating process could be relatively similar. Like that's where you start learning a lot. And the way that I just did it in high school is what? I mean, I'm 26. That was less than 10 years ago. Like it's really different. Tinder wasn't around in high school. Like you couldn't meet someone at a neighboring high school or like 3 miles away unless you were on Omegle being catfished. Like it really just didn't work out the same way. Um,
I mean, social media on the phone too. That was like they said something about like childhood suicides went up like a crazy amount, like especially in younger women, and it's just like a whole different world once like it was a standard thing. Like everyone has not only a cell phone in their pocket, but a cell phone with these social media apps to where like it truly is like ingrained in like our culture now as far as like I think that's a big reason with the dating and how it's meeting people in the wild is like rare nowadays compared to just like, oh, I just fucking Tinder, you know what I mean?
right, yeah. I remember. Well, I'm fairly social, and I noticed this in the wild. I, as a bartender, as someone who would go to a round of bars for a while more than I should have before, but less so now. Like I like to be social. I like to talk to people. I like to eavesdrop. I like to know what's going on in my world. So like I noticed like I would hear and I would ask and I would meet people. I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, how long you been together? How do you guys meet?" And I stopped fucking asking that question because it's boring. There it was always like, "Oh yeah, on the internet or on Bumble or on Tinder," and I started noticing that like 3 years ago, and to this day, like I have no idea when the last time I've heard a different answer was. So I'm in tune that the dating scene is like so different. I tend to like my friends I think are people that are really value in-person encounters and would go out of their way to like meet people in person and are crazy enough that people would stop them in public and then they get into a fight and then become friends afterwards. Uh, so
It's
like
still all in the wild too, man. I mean,
yeah.
we out here, especially
Mhm.
as music people, where like we go out, debatably some of the most as far as the population wise. So
Yeah, we out here.
yeah, look at us.
So yeah, no, it's all that to be said. There are forces against us.
I mean, it's a ever changing world, man. We're out here trying to do our best.
I'd say so. Speaking of, I want to ask you a couple more production questions since I just want to. I have a couple
Yeah, I
here.
know. We keep going down these long paths, but I'm here for production.
Okay,
Let's go.
no worries. I'll just have to wrap up in the next 30 minutes and fair warning, and then I also wanted to make sure we hit some more production topics.
Yeah, yeah. Please, let's get into it.
All right. Let's see what I got here. Oh, I guess like okay, you use Ableton. You mentioned Operator Serum. I guess you're familiar with those. Do you have a favorite VST?
I mean, I think those two are probably my favorite that I bounce back and forth.
Okay, sweet. Because there's a
Vital
lot of
Voices.
fancy VSTs out there nowadays. Then
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Vital something I see myself getting more into because the reason I like separate Serum and Operator a lot of the time is just because the amount of oscillators and the FM capabilities, and Vital pretty much is the gap between that. But just learning a new synthesizer, I mean, like I know the basics, but like to get good at a synthesizer, you really got to spend some time just messing around.
do you like Wavetable?
The Ableton.
Yeah, Ableton Wavetable.
I've like dabbled. I haven't really messed around enough to like see, any like crazy benefits. I mean, so do you use Wavetable? What's like the big selling point with it?
It's just that it zero latency serum essentially.
but I mean, like, so I guess like the wavetable, it's like a single oscillator.
I think it's dual oscillator, but I could be wrong. I could pull up Ableton though.
I'll throw it up. I have Ableton open because I mean,
I was just asking because when it came out, I was super excited because I was always about that free life, and
right.
yeah, that was just like, oh great, this will be an awesome alternative to Serum. Um, and I just asked if you like it. I'm not like a super big fan of it or anything like that. I'm very distractible with my VSTs. Um,
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it now. Two oscillators. You move between basic shapes. You got your filter. You got your attack, decay, sustain, release. Um, some LFOs in addition to that. Um, I don't know. Seems kind of simple. I mean, I feel like in the world of Serum, this doesn't, especially because I guess the thing about Wavetable is like, no, you have like your basic shapes column, but I'm so spoiled with being able to like even draw in harmonics via operator, which is one of my favorite parts about operator. Like you go into one of your operators, like let's just say A, you click on your oscillator, you have 64, 32, or 16. You can just draw in harmonics, which is like essentially how you craft wavetables. Then you can like see in your little preview window what you're doing to create your wavetable, and you can make all sorts of wild and crazy shit. Um, I don't know. That seems to be the benefit of me, but I don't know. I mean, I could be into it.
no, no, no. That sounds no, no. That's a brilliant answer because it is simple. But it sounds like you're using Serum for the fucking the deep dive. So right here, I just kind of I know we went over uh, not just now the harmonics and then before kind of the mud pieing technique, but right here I have written down kind of right next to the song 87 Rooftop, which I think is the new song that you put out, like for that song, and I guess for your sound in general, like what is essential for that? Like what would you say is like essential at what piece of that song or of your sound that if you took away you just wouldn't be Cloud Forest anymore?
Gotcha. So I mean, the first drop was my drop when I sent it to Rich, and that is just a very simple operator patch. Just like using, I want to say maybe two, maybe three oscillators here, but the core fundamentals is the FMing frequency, just by like messing with your coarse and levels, finding the harmonic balance, and then auto filter to create a custom envelope filter. That's like the core part of that wub.
I'm gonna play that actually, so just so we have a reference for the audience. So what's gonna happen here is I'm gonna share my screen,
Okay.
and that way we can both hear it and the audience can hear it. Are you watching? Are you joined?
Here we go.
Sweet.
So yeah, it's just go yeah on a playlist because it's through High Peaks Collective.
You can hear that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So is that's all one, or do you have a sub patch and a mid patch going?
Nope, nope. That's literally just operator with an auto filter on it. Just a couple operators here. I think A and B, maybe C. I can pull up the patch.
It sounds very like rain, so that's very cool. Like very gulpy, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Damn, nice. Okay, I'm surprised it's only one patch. All of my bass sounds end up being like three or four different layers.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on recently is to try to like get like super efficient with things to where like I can just put a lot of time into like one patch that just like slaps super hard just so it's super streamlined with the mixing process because I notice like mixing wise that's the technical shit when I have a bunch of like overlapping basses, especially in that like 100 to 300 range. to where like it's just impossible to mix and compress unless you just have like one core sound that is like fundamentally comprised, and then you don't have to worry about anything besides sidechain and shit.
That's awesome and practical and just completely goated and badass. So that's insane. And you're right, because I mean, I run into that and like having to, carve out the mid bass and the highs. And I mean, I have been able to combine my white noise and my sub pretty well. But other than that, I feel like I have a hard time having cool patches that slap that also have a controlled sub. Like I'm really, really struggling with that.
So I mean, a good like technique I've learned.
Could we potentially see this patch? If you stream your screen, you could break it down, and then it'll be on the Discord or on the podcast.
For sure, I'm looking for it right now.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I figured maybe if you were gonna explain it, we could see it too.
Yeah, for sure. It's not gonna be this one for what I'm explaining, but in general for like issues with that, just having like a key tracked equalizer between a sub and your mid bass in an instrument rack has been a good technique for that.
Okay,
Yeah, I can pull up this patch and show you what's up. It's trying to find it right now in my projects. Give me a minute.
no problem. Take your time. I'm gonna keep playing 87 Rooftop for the audience right quick.
Cool. B Benkaji's drop coming out.
All right, I'm back.
I'm looking for the track right now. Rich called it something else before we went with 87 Rooftop, right?
Oh, no worries.
Released it, so I'm just trying to find what we called it before.
While you're looking, was there like a little backstory behind the name?
So I mean, I just like made the drop and then threw in that Earl sweatshirt verse over it. And that's the first thing he says,
Oh yeah.
Rooftop, rocking with this hoopies, trying to hoop apart. I forget the lyrics. Yeah, you get it.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
I gotta listen to more Earl Sweatshirt.
I mean, you remember, with Tyler the Creator and Loiter Squad and that whole crew, right?
I remember Tyler
Future.
loved, and I listened to it a bunch. Which album was it? It was.
I mean, did you watch Adult Swim growing up?
Yeah, I did. Was he on Adult Swim? Oh, Igor, I listened to a bunch.
Yeah, they're an Odd Future got their own show on Adult Swim. It was Loiter Squad. They were just like a big thing, and I knew them from that. I didn't really know Odd Future at the time,
Oh shit.
but that got me into them. And yeah, just like a real fun project they had. That's Tyler the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, a couple other dudes in there, but yeah, just a really cool take on rap at the time. I was a real big fan back in the day. Sorry, I'm taking a minute on this. I'm really having trouble finding it.
You're good. I'm looking up Loiter Squad right now. Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah, they were kind of like the like Jackass style comedy.
Sit down. Not a word till we get back.
Just pausing because copyright will hit me.
Gotcha.
Alright. So what y'all little bitch ass in here for?
I was caught sucking my dad's.
I was sucking my daddy when I was 7 years old. A field of them. Come here, candy boy. Why you got so many necklace? Why you got necklace? Smell like bitch in here. All y'all smell like bitch to me. Why you?
Very quotable. Dude, you got your shrimp levels quote from Adult Swim, didn't you?
Tim and awesome show, great job.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. Rich and I have always been like that. That's the stuff we like grew up on. So we bond over super hard. That was the scene with Patton Oswald.
Yeah. I was taken into a time machine with your song, like basically every time.
Thank you. We have trouble not shoehorning in stupid quotes to our tracks.
Well, you guys you've used a couple SpongeBob quotes too that I am a big fan of. I put SpongeBob on often. The first two seasons are just so rewatchable.
Oh yeah, no. Originally, so the track we opened with in this stream here, that was me and my buddy Chairless. We vibe super hard in the SpongeBob quotes, and the original version of the track had that. You might have noticed in the upload, it's an ID on the mix because we took it out, but it originally was called Beep Boop Bop, hence the famous SpongeBob episode where Mr. Krabs, it's like boop bop, beep boop beep. Yeah.
Boop boop bop.
Yeah. God damn, I'm really dropping the ball right now, dude. I'm not finding this project.
You're good. I do have to go soon, so do you want to maybe pick a different project for the sake of time?
Yeah, for sure. I can pick a different project.
Something that's got a heavy bass line. I'm sure that wouldn't be too hard to find.
Bass line. Okay, let's get into it. I can pull up the one that I just am about to release next week with Insomniac.
Hell yeah. Let's see it. What if I would?
Cool. So, how do I share my screen?
There's a big button underneath my name or my little image. It should be at least.
Go.
And if you make sure to do application, okay, I think you did it. I think we're good.
What do I do? Do I need to do anything else?
I don't think so. It just I may or may not be able to hear it. That's all.
Okay, we'll see in a second.
Yeah.
It's loading right now. My project's.
Hey, nice.
See if you can hear this.
No, I cannot. But I might have a solution.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and end the stream quick.
End the stream.
Okay, now try it again. But before you click go live, you're gonna see on the top a selection between screens and applications, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so make sure applications are selected and then make sure that you pick Ableton from there on. And then if it doesn't work after that, that's just the only troubleshooting I have right now.
I think that's what I did the first time, so no, I can try again. I can also go into settings and see.
No, it's okay. Windows does this. I've been working with Windows and streaming and trying to like that. Mac tends to be the best at like seamlessly flowing the audio to Discord. We don't have to mess around with the settings just yet. I'm happy to see your patch and probably not needing to hear it right now.
Okay.
Or I can just reference that link that you gave me, I think, right? Or is that a different song?
This is a different track. It is in that my 3K mix. I can look at the settings for a second here. I can just go in raw. What do you think? User settings.
Yeah, just fine with the settings. It's fine.
Output. All right, and once again, you can't hear this, right?
I actually can't see it right now.
What's that?
I can't see it right now.
Oh, you can't even see it.
Oh wait, yes I can. Here we go. Try again.
Okay.
No dice.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I mean, we don't think we can do anything here. I could just wait. Open soundboard. Maybe that's it. No, this is just stupid noises. Okay. Whatever here. Stream quality. Change windows. Try screen 1, maybe.
Noise.
Any dice there?
No. I'm surprised it's not working the other way around. That's supposed to be how it works. It might be last but not least, it could be your Ableton settings.
Okay, yeah, let me go check that out.
It would just have to be in your it should be going straight through your MME driver.
Oh, okay, I'm in ASIO. Maybe that's the problem.
Oh yeah, switch that up. Go straight to direct. I'll show you I'll tell you what mine look like.
Here, tell me if you can hear it now.
Oh yeah, I can hear it.
Any luck?
Oh yeah, big luck.
Okay, cool. Is that volume good? I turned it down a little bit here.
Yeah, 1 second. The volume is good. Just let me share your screen with the audience, and we'll be rolling. Okay, 1 sec. All right, go for it. What do we got? Uh-oh. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Think we're good now then, right?
Okay, cool. Just gonna do one more play. Make sure you got it. Sound good?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So yeah, this part, I'll break down this noise. So yeah, this first noise here, this was made in a serum patch. Yeah, no, this is necessary. This is necessary. And lastly, this is necessary. Okay, so see this. Yeah, whatever. I'll just put these in a group for now. Turn them off. Go in a fresh instance of serum. So yeah, I believe with this one, that was the harmonic series when I started with. move it up an octave. Then did like the harmonic series of square waves. I believe this was cool. And then from here this was FM'd, I think. See, then this guy was down to about 1.6, I believe. Cool. Can't remember if it was this one too. Let's just remove this for now.
So are these layers or like
Cutoff was there.
different sequences of bass?
Yeah. So essentially, just like the harmonic sine, harmonic square wave, the square FMing into the first oscillator, and then just getting like a plucky. Oh my gosh, I'm dropping the ball. A plucky sound with the envelope here.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. And then what's kind of beefing that up right there?
So if I can remember correctly, I believe that was can go into the original patch. I feel like I have this hold up, what did I end up calling it? This was gonna drag this in here real quick if it wants to load.
Donk. Love it.
Sorry, my CPU sucks.
Don't worry.
Second here.
Don't worry about it. You're good. Can you hear me all right though?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, sweet. Just wanted to make sure I didn't change any settings majorly when I switch things over.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think this is one here. Because I actually just Insomniac had me like do like a bass tutorial and like a bunch of their videos on there. It's just like 10-second videos. You're like how to make a beat. It's like add drums, add a bass, compressor. Yeah, and I was like, I didn't learn anything. So I like actually like broke down my my track, and I just like there's a bunch of shit going on there that like I just kind of fucked around, didn't necessarily need to be there. So like this one should have like everything that cool. Oh yeah, so this was it. It was so it wasn't FM at all. So yeah, it's a harmonic series here, like 6 oscillations, 2 peaks up top for a square wave. Here the envelope making it like sound plucky. Here like without the filter, it's just kind of like this loud thing, but we use the filter and the envelope to give it like a down like plucky vibe.
Oh, nice. Okay.
All we have here is hyper and reverb, which like doesn't really even do anything. I think like the main sound here. Here I'll just like take this off real quick and show you. So yeah, start off with just oscillator A here. Once we add them back in, yeah, I mean pretty much all stock here. Just like the levels are up to about like 2-3 o'clock here. And then once we just like throw our filter on, can throw our envelope up here in matrix, make sure it's unipolar mode. And And then if you like bring your level down, it'll become like less harmonic here and just like a touch of it. And with like the sub and the hyper and reverb on it, should be pretty close to where we're at with the original one.
Yeah, that is pretty close.
Yeah, so I mean, I think yeah, so that's essentially that noise here. Cool, yeah. I mean, I have some other patches in here I could break down if you want, but I know we're short on time, so I just thought I'd check in.
Oh yeah, I guess it's more of a question because breaking down another bass patch, I'd be interested, but I'd go down another rabbit hole in my brain. I guess I just have a question that you could maybe show me in this project is how do you go about layering sounds that aren't your drop sounds or like your fills? Is that when you draw from your mud pies, like your previous mud pies? Do you kind of always throw on a texture when you're like getting ready for another big hit with the bass?
So I mean, as far as like my wubs here, I don't think there's really anything going on at the same time. You see, they kind of just like stagger. And then for like all my effects, in this, you can see in my sidechain group, I have it sidechained to the kick, then I have it sidechained to the wub, and I have it in high-low splitters here. So like anything below 280 hertz, whenever there's like a bass playing, it just ducks that out completely. I have my compressor set to infinite ratio, infinite threshold, and then if I need even more than that, I'll throw my gain all the way up. But essentially try not to have too much going on at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that answers my question. I mean, like I said, your patches are staggered; they're not super layered, and no, yeah, that made sense. I guess I was more just saying there's like this really like right if you play that part again, there sounds like there's this really cool digital sounding arpeggio right before the second patch hits again.
Let's hear it. Oh, I turned this off, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
So wait,
That it was just there. Doon 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 doon, and then that hit right there.
this here?
Yeah.
This right here. Yeah, this right here. Okay, so yeah, essentially like how this is playing at the same time is it just like cuts out anything below 280 hertz. So while it's playing at the same time as the wub, you can see here. Yeah, so I mean like this plays, but it's this would be like the original version. Just to make sure.
So is that like a constant effect going? That would be that just ducks out, or that's just like how you make sure that nothing crosses over.
So I mean right now this is, oh wait, this is the wrong one. Whoops. So yeah, this is the just original sound. Yeah, so just like a little video game sample there.
Yeah.
And then with the sidechain on, I have the compressor sidechain to the whole wub group. So anytime anything in the wub group plays, anything below 280 hertz is completely ducked out.
Gotcha.
So yeah, when I play it here, you can see like this information here is like when it comes in, and that's it getting ducked out, but it's only 280 hertz and below. So like the problem with like mixing is like you can't have several basses playing over at the same time, or else you get like phase cancellation.
Yeah.
Just generally change the sound. So like I don't know, when I am adding layers in there, like the general rule of thumb I go for is like no bases at the same time. I can add like other layers over top, but like if I'm having like a wub or any kind of bass playing at one time, I can only add like higher content over it. And like sometimes like I'll like find a way to like mix it in specifically for that noise, and if you're like maybe automating an EQ or throwing it in an instrument rack. But in this case, it's a pretty simple noise, and it's already like pretty high up anyways. And so yeah, I think that sounded fine, and I just like for safe measures, make sure that like there's no bass frequency playing over at the same time, which I don't know, if I turn this off, you can see if there is any. Yeah, so there's like a little bit here. So like just essentially like doing this, but only for when the wubs come in. It'd be 280, so yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't really affect the noise. It was just kind of some like extra content there that wasn't needed anyways.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like a good example of something that's like hard to layer in, but yeah, that's the idea.
No, for sure. That was my question. Thanks for answering it, dude.
No worries.
Like it's really cool seeing music that I like being broken down to this degree firsthand. So geeking out.
Hell yeah, dude. I love it.
But the system calls. I got to go to Chiba Hut, unfortunately. Yeah, man. Dude, thank you so much. I'm gonna play you out. I guess I'll pick a song last minute. I'll play the 87 Rooftop. Actually, no, I already played that, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick on Rainbow. I do like Rainbow a lot. So we'll do that one. Yeah, no, dude, Max, thanks for coming on. I'm gonna play Rainbow out for you because that song really spoke to me. I know I've been saying that a lot, but you got a big discography on SoundCloud right now and a bunch of releases, so I didn't bring up any of the ones. I only brought up my favorites. Thanks for being here. Thanks for reaching out, or thank you for responding to me when I reached out to you on Instagram. And I hope I see you around Denver sometime, dude.
100%, bro. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem. If you're ever in Fort Collins, come to Chiba Hut, and I'll hook you up with fat sandwiches and fat blunts.
Hey, heck yeah, homie. Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. I'm gonna play you out. You don't have to leave the call. You can mute yourself. Same deal as last time. But I'll be leaving. I'll be hopping off pretty soon after. So, yeah. Anything you'd like to say? Just to the internet. I don't mean to rush off.
Oh no, you're good, man. Hey, thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate you.
For sure. Well, everybody, Kloud Forest making his debut, taking over Denver. You'll hear about him on a different podcast, I'm sure, sometime soon. So thanks for watching I Can't Produce, everybody. I Can't Produce a Show. My name is braV, and I will be back next time with episode number 28. We don't know who that guest will be yet, but I'm sure I'll find someone just as awesome as Kloud Forest has been. So anyways, thanks for watching. Whether or not this is the past, present, or the future, I'll see you next time. Later, yo.